Hi, I'm Andrea Thomas, and today we're going to talk about reading practice with word list. So the first thing you'd have to know is, how do you know what you're teaching and when you're teaching it? Reading practice in your daily schedule comprises 10 minutes of the heart of the lesson. So each time you have a word list reading practice, you'll complete one reading practice during that 10 minutes. The key to being able to do this is planning and using the procedures for your reading practice. So first, let's talk about where. Where will you find which reading practice to teach on which day? So your scope and sequence tells you exactly which reading practice corresponds with which lesson. And the shrink-wrapped packet marked reading practices year 2 will hold all of the reading practice masters that you will have. You'll keep a copy for yourself and you'll make copies for your students. The other place where you can find which reading practice corresponds with the concept you're teaching is on the actual concept page. This is year 2, concept 8.6, and you will have 3 reading practices listed here. As I mentioned earlier, the goal is to complete 1 reading practice per day, no more than that. And so I'm going to ask that you pull out reading practice 37 from year 2. It's a review list so that you can walk along with me and be my students, and we can talk about how to plan and use the procedures to execute this reading lesson. And you'll want to pull this page. I would say make a copy and keep your master copy clean. And that's what I always do. I have my masters in one 3-ring binder, and they're clean that I can make copies of for students. And then I also make a copy for myself, make a blank copy for my students, but I make a copy for myself and I plan on that copy. And I'll use this to walk through the lesson with you, and then we'll talk about how I planned it. Another fantastic resource that you could look at came in your virtual supplemental handout with the blue cover, and that is page 15, and the title is Reading Practice Procedure Word Lists. And it states very clearly at the top, during a reading practice, you want to maintain momentum, and you do that with your planning and your pacing. And then also, every student reads every word multiple times. In a reading practice, you'll recall there were 3 reads. The first read is to build accuracy. The second read is to build skill with language. And the third read is to build automaticity. We're going to go through all of these. Finally, you'll add words to your regular word deck, and these words are chosen from your word list. Okay, so let's get started. I want you to get your blank copy of your reading practice 37 from year 2 and be my students. Make sure you make a copy. Okay, row 1, the first word, S-T-R-I-P-E. All right, what type of syllable is this? Yes, that's correct. It's a vowel consonant silent E. And I'll code my I with a macron, and I'll cross out my silent letter. Prepare, ready, read. Excellent. The next word, what syllable type? Oh, you're right, it's a trigraph. We're going to underline that trigraph. We're going to cross out the silent letters, code our I with a macron. Prepare, ready, read. You are right. The word is right. And the last word, syllable type. Yes, you're right. It is a vowel consonant silent E. We'll cross out the silent letters, code our vowel with a macron. Prepare, ready, read. Crime does not pay. Now pick up your pencil for row 2. First word, syllable type, code, prepare, ready, read. Second word, code, prepare, ready, read. Third word, code, prepare, ready, read. Row 3, prepare the entire row. Code only if you need to. Ready, read, ready, read, ready, read. Row 4, prepare the entire row. Code only if you need to. Ready, read, ready, read, ready, read. Row 5, prepare the entire row. Code only if you need to. Ready, read, ready, read, ready, read. Go back up to row 1. Circle the word with 3 sounds. Ready, read. You are correct. Right has 3 sounds. I, t. Right could be a direction, or right could be that you are correct. Row 2. Which word has a trigraph? Ready, read. You are correct. The word is bright. What's that trigraph? IGH, and the GH is silent. In row 3, circle the last word. Read the word. One meaning of this word is to operate and control the direction and speed of a motor vehicle. Can you think of any other meanings of the word drive? A Sunday drive. It would be used as a noun. You're talking about a drive that you go on late in the evening on Sunday afternoons. Okay. Or what about ambition? Have you ever heard that person has an innate drive and they're ambitious, or they have a great work ethic? Okay. Row 4. I want you to fill in the blank of this sentence with one of the words in row 4. The employees went on blank because the working conditions were poor. Which word did you choose? Ready, read. You are correct. It is strike. The employees went on strike because the working conditions were poor. And row 5, which word is the name of a famous dance? Ready, read. You are correct. The twist. Chubby Checker made the twist famous in the 1950s and 60s. Sometimes people still dance that dance at weddings. Okay, I now want you to go up and we are going to read in columns. Your first column, up and down, columns go up and down. I'm going to have you put a capital I above that, and that I stands for initial. The final column, or the last column, put a capital F above that, that stands for final. And then anything between first and last is medial. We're going to put an M above that medial column, that middle column. So you should have a capital I, an M, and an F. Okay, the initial column, that's what that I stands for. Everybody wearing denim. Ready, read, top to bottom. Medial column, everyone wearing tennis shoes. Ready, read. And the final column, everyone, ready, read. Now we're going to add our 3 words into our regular word deck. Ready, read. And those first 3 words were the ready, read words. Okay, so the key is always planning ahead of time. As I mentioned, I have 2 notebooks. One notebook has my clean masters in it. The other notebook has my sheets where I have planned. And this is always something that I keep right beside me. And you'll notice all the questions that I ask for the second read, they're listed underneath. For the first read, because I'm new at this, I went ahead and wrote out what I was supposed to do for each row. I modeled the coding on the board. I talked the students through the coding on row 2. I had them prepare the entire row and code if needed. And here the same thing, prepare and code only if needed. Okay, all my second read questions are here. And then I even went ahead and had my initial medial final. I even went ahead and laid out what my categories were going to be. For my regular word deck, I had my words already chosen and my cards already made. And usually I attach those at the top of the page with a paper clip. So I am planned and ready. Again, because I'm new, I just wrote the verbiage up here: code, prepare, ready, read. Eventually, you won't need to have this verbiage or the verbiage on the side. You'll simply want to have your questions to build language, and you'll want to know what you're going to do for your third read. And then you'll also want to have your words chosen. You're saying, but wait, Andrea, this is so much to plan. That page 15 from your virtual handout, that blue copy, it gives you specific directions. What I did when I first started out was made a copy of this page and had it beside me every time I planned, just to remind me what I needed to do. You'll notice it shows you for this first read, it gives you the exact verbiage and the procedures that you'll use. For the second read, building skill with language, it gives you those domains of language: syntax, morphology, phonology, semantics, orthography. And I also like the social use or pragmatics. I think that's great, especially for our older kids, to understand, like that word drive, that it can be used multiple ways. The third read for automaticity, I used initial, medial, final. You could use first, second, third. You could use colors, however you wanted to denote, but you want to be able to get there quickly and you want them to understand. And the regular word deck, you choose those words that they will see on a regular basis. Don't choose obscure words that they're not going to see when they're reading. You're trying to build their instant word recognition, and you want to choose words that they see on a regular basis. Another thing is you run this deck for 1 to 2 minutes. So if you get to the end of the deck, you just keep running it until that time period is up. I like to run mine twice if at all possible. The other thing I'll say about the regular word deck is when students have achieved automaticity with a word, you then can retire words from that deck, so your deck just doesn't keep getting thicker and thicker. So truly, the key to a word list reading practice is to plan ahead of time. Use that page 15 from your virtual handout to know the procedures and to have the expectation that your students meet the procedures and follow your pacing. You're the timekeeper. You want to make sure that you have things moving along at a rapid pace. Keep that momentum going. So I hope that your wordless reading practice goes well. Happy teaching.